Okay. Can you hear
All
me?
right. Hey, everyone. Welcome to
Uh,
another episode of Something About Web3. Still
wait. Can
haven't come up
you
with a name on Kazuaki.
wait? Can you mute your microphone, Google Hangout?
I guess so.
Okay.
All right. I just muted. Was I echoing?
No, no, no. It sounds better. Yep.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Okay. Cool.
So now Google Hangouts is saying, "Are you talking? Your mic is off." Yeah, I know. Thanks, Google. Anyway, yes,
Okay.
welcome back to another episode. My name is Dan Lippert. I'm here with Kazuaki Ishiguro.
Hey.
And thanks everyone for listening to the first two episodes. This is the third episode of Something About Web3. Um, I haven't come up with a better name yet, but appreciate everyone who's listening. And I think we're probably stuck with the name. That being said, we are much more prepared this week. We've been compiling some interesting stories to talk about, and we'll kick it off. Actually, you know what? Here's what I'll do. I'll share a preview of what we're going to talk about. Does that sound good?
Yeah.
That seems like something podcasts do, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
so, talk about a story from TechCrunch this week. Will Apple build its own blockchain in order to kind of retain some of its walled garden? We'll talk about what's happening with Elon Musk and Twitter. I'm sure everyone's tired of hearing about it, but we'll have some spicy takes for you. Um, Also, going to talk about kind of NFT hype at the Grammys and music NFTs in general. Also, Japan's possibly number one all-in-one type of app, a la Facebook or WhatsApp. I don't know what other apps people use for this type of thing. Line has added an NFT marketplace, and there's been a lot of stories in Western media about that. But Kazuaki has some insights, I think, as to why it's not all that it's hyped up to be. And then we'll talk about some loan platforms in DeFi and some strategies, some new platforms, why you'd want to be involved. So um, hopefully that something in there interests you and you aren't turning off the podcast right now. So that said, Kazuaki, what is up with Apple's plans for blockchain?
Yeah. If you take a look at the TechCrunch post, and the article saying Apple is going to build their own blockchain, or specifically, the blockchain will be for NFT platform, obviously. But
Yeah,
I was wondering what's gonna happen if Apple built their own blockchains, and probably they might gonna use it for their gaming platform, and
yeah,
also I'm not really sure um, what the other use cases for them.
yeah. So I mean, this article starts off talking about Axie Infinity, which I think there was news yesterday that the quote unquote hackers have been quote unquote identified as North Korean state affiliated hacking team, I think called Lazarus or something like that. Um, and basically, what happened there was there's a side chain of Ethereum called Ronin that was being used by Axie Infinity which is an NFT based game. The reason that they're using a sidechain is obviously on Ethereum, it's very expensive to be doing a lot of small transactions, which is what you'd want to do in an NFT based game. So they built their own sidechain called Ronin, which was kind of a proof of authority type of sidechain that was managed by a DAO. And somehow this hacking group got control of the DAO, I believe through legitimate or semi legitimate means of, just buying tokens or whatever. I don't really know the story, but as far as I know, it wasn't a hack. And then at some point, the developers behind that left some sort of security hole open to whoever controlled the DAO would be able to kind of drain the side chain. So that's what happened with Axie Infinity. And so the leads a question, like if you're going to have NFT based gaming, which all the game companies are saying that they're in favor of, and of course they are because there's a huge revenue stream there. Axie Infinity was hacked for $650 million, so massive revenue stream there. If you're going to have NFT gaming, it looks like you're going to want side chains or some sort of alternative chain. And so does it make sense for Apple, who's basically a major game distributor at this point, for them to have their own chain? Apple is famous for wanting to retain as much power as possible. And so this would allow them to do that and allow them to do things like they like to do, which is take 30% of everyone's money for using the Apple
Yeah.
platform. They don't want to give that up. So I guess the Apple had just banned an NFT app that was on the Apple App Store, but it was basically as much of an NFT as the Line NFTs apparently are, which we'll talk about later.
Yeah.
But also there is an OpenSea app and things like that on the App Store, I believe. So but you can't buy anything. And of course, also there's MetaMask and apps like that on the Apple App Store, right? So, and Apple has no way for them to be taking 30% of what you're doing there. So, and why would they? I mean, they don't take 30% of your Robinhood account, right? So there's kind of limits to what Apple can reasonably
Right.
do here. But
Right.
if they had their own chain and then they kind of enabled in the iOS SDK or whatever it is that they use for game development. If they had something that they could basically tell their developers, hey, you got to use this if you're going to do NFT stuff, and that could have something built into it. So I don't know. I mean, does Apple a is Apple willing to put themselves at risk of things like the SEC and things like that to be involved in blockchain? And then B,
Yeah.
they have the competence and culture to support blockchain efforts. What do you think?
Yeah. I mean, I still don't know if, you know, Apple joining the blockchain space makes sense for Apple
Yeah,
because they only have like, you know, like one big platform, which is like iOS platform. And the application for iOS cannot always use the Android. So like um, the user won't don't have any interoperability between Apple and Android at this point. So why
yeah.
people using Apple blockchain?
That
That
that yeah.
doesn't really make sense.
It doesn't make sense from the user perspective. Obviously, that makes
Right.
sense from Apple's perspective as something they would like to do, which is lock people
Yeah.
in. But if they had a blockchain, you would think they would have to let Android apps access.
Yeah, that's my point. That's my point. And then like, yeah, so at this point, when I first saw this article, it just feel like Apple just trying to use a marketing buzzword called
Yeah,
NFT or blockchain itself.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's a good that's a good point. It's a good point for sure. I think it's quite risky as well because they're already in a lot of legal trouble, with Epic suing them.
yeah, yeah,
Epic basically suing them, obviously for their own self-interest with Fortnite, but also it's in the interest of the greater user base who wants to have that kind of cross-platform capabilities, which is basically what Epic was suing Apple over.
yeah.
Um, I don't know. Yeah, it's tough, but I do have to ask myself when I see an article like this, and this person, Lucas Matney, who's co-host of the Chain Reaction podcast, apparently. I haven't taken a listen to that. I'll take a listen.
Hmm.
Um, but like, why did they write this article, and where did
Right,
it come
right.
from? You know,
Hmm.
this is the type of thing that's kind of seems like a bit of a weather balloon in terms
Yeah.
of Apple wanting to know what people might think about them launching a blockchain. Obviously, it's
Mm.
not a sponsored post or anything. I don't see anything like that
Right,
here, but it
right.
is interesting.
Mm.
Um,
That's a great point.
yeah,
Yeah.
but who knows? Maybe I'm just jaded. I'll have to
Mm.
listen to their podcast and see what's up.
Mm.
I don't. I haven't heard of that before. Chain Reaction podcast. Um. Yeah. Anyway, interesting stuff. Very interesting stuff. I would like to see more companies get involved in crypto. I feel like Apple is maybe a little bit behind when it comes to any kind of
That's true.
acknowledgement of crypto. Um,
That's true.
I mean, if you look at mobile phone manufacturers, Samsung has been like much more forward in terms of them talking about crypto and crypto integrations with their devices.
Yeah.
Um, I never hear anything about. I never hear Apple talk about it, which is surprising because I hear. Well, this kind of leads into our next story about Elon Musk, but obviously, like Elon Musk has a long history with Apple in terms of Twitter and how tightly integrated Twitter has been with Apple over the years. I think since the very beginning, I've always thought of them as like pretty tight partners. I think Twitter was one of the first like app integrations that was deep in the OS itself, um, in terms of iOS. So, and obviously, Twitter, Jack Dorsey won't stop talking about crypto at this point, right?
Yep.
So I don't know. I'm kind of surprised. Everyone seems to be talking more and more about crypto except for Apple. But maybe this is
Hmm.
this is the beginning of that. So
Yeah.
um anyway, talking about Twitter, Elon Musk this week attempted a hostile takeover of Twitter. We're recording this on Friday, Japan time, so Thursday evening US time, I think. And the latest I've heard is that it's been rejected by the Saudi prince. I don't
Oh
know if
my
this is
God.
actually true, but that that
No.
Saudi prince that always used to get into Twitter fights with Donald Trump has apparently
Mm.
come out against this takeover, and
Yeah.
he's a major shareholder of Twitter, which I don't know if a lot of people know that the
Mm.
Saudi royal family owns significant portion of Twitter.
Yeah.
Um, so Kazuaki, why does Elon Musk want to buy Twitter? Like, what's going on here? What is the point?
Well,
I don't know.
I don't know exactly, but the first um thoughts came up to my mind was Elon is pretty passionate about he's been pretty passionate about open source and open voice and the freedom of
Mm-hmm.
speech. And then
That's true.
the latest article that I read, it's in a Yahoo Japan article, but he was saying that he wants to open source the algorithm behind the Twitter,
Mm.
um, and then make it like I don't know, open source it, and so that people could know what is going on and then what kind of AI model is running behind the Twitter,
Yeah.
so that there will be no manipulations. And I mean, like he's been doing that for a long time at any industries. Like SpaceX have open source project, and Tesla also has an open source project.
Yeah.
And also, like he's been working on Open AI project. He's been doing that for a long time. So, what he wants to do is like I don't know, like make a Twitter open source probably.
Maybe.
Yeah, that's what I thought. One perspective.
I think you have a very positive impression of Elon Musk. I'll
Yeah.
provide maybe a more negative one,
Yeah. Let's do it.
which is that well, two things. One, I would say like Tesla as a product is not really that open, right? Like
Yeah.
the car
Yeah.
itself,
Hmm.
whatever software they write and things like that being open source is great.
Yeah.
But as an end user, and I don't own a Tesla, but from what I understand, there's all kinds of DRM, DLC to make the car faster, things like that.
Yep.
And if you buy a Tesla and then you pay the money to unlock the high speed mode or whatever it's called,
Hmm.
and you sell your car to someone else, they have to rebuy that DLC, right? The
Yeah.
car like locks itself again, kind of like a PlayStation, right?
Hmm.
If you
Yeah.
have a
Yeah.
PlayStation and you buy Elden Ring, and then you sell your PlayStation to someone else, they're gonna have to rebuy Elden Ring, right? Because they have to have their own PlayStation account and
Yeah.
stuff. So
Yeah.
it's kind of like that. Um, so, but whatever. I mean, I don't. Who knows, right? I mean, I don't know Elon Musk, but
Right.
just judging from that product, I think there's
Hmm.
some anti-consumer practices there, but they're not that different from the rest of the industry. So I'm not gonna say that's necessarily just Tesla's fault.
Yeah.
But one thing I will say is that I do think Elon Musk has realized how powerful his Twitter account is
Yeah.
and is trying to monetize that. And so by
Mm.
him buying a 9% stake in Twitter, then and then Twitter, I saw there was guidance from Goldman Sachs and a report they previously issued saying that their target for Twitter was $30,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
Then Elon Musk issuing a takeover proposal for 50 something dollars,
Yeah.
causing the Twitter stock price, I think is, let's check it out. What is the Twitter stock price today? Uh $45. It's down 70 cents. So
Yeah.
trying to pump that stock that he bought 9% of, just like he
Mm.
did with Dogecoin and
Yeah.
all other kind
Yeah.
of things. Um, I think he just realized like he could monetize his Twitter by manipulating markets, something that he's been in trouble for before, right? With the SEC and
Yeah.
things like that
Yeah.
about making all kinds
Yeah.
of public statements. So maybe he's found a loophole here where he
Hmm.
can essentially take an interest in a company, make some public statements that are not necessarily regarding the price of the asset or something like that, but make these moves to do hostile takeover or whatever, and control the markets that way. So that's
Right.
my impression of what's happening.
Yeah.
Um,
I guess there's a like guy behind Elon, like financial advisor or something, and then like tell him what to do using Twitter.
you think so?
Yeah.
Who is it?
Well, that was exactly happening when Dogecoin bubble came up.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I think the chief financial officer from Tesla.
Oh, okay. Who's that?
Yeah. Let me
Zach Kirkhorn.
probably yeah.
In March 2021, he was given the title Master of Coin within Tesla, a
Yeah.
reference to Game of Thrones. Well,
There you
that
go.
is pretty interesting. Master of
Yeah.
Coin. He's called that on
Right.
Tesla.com. Zach is the Master of Coin. Wow. This is the cutting edge journalism you'll only find at Something About Web3 podcast.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kazuaki. That is quite interesting. That is
Yeah.
extremely interesting. Master of Coin? That can't be a
Master of coin,
coincidence.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that
So,
is
so yeah,
interesting.
he suggested Elon to tweet about Shiba coin and
Wow.
but huge large amount of coin. And they hey, you can pump and dump by yourself just using Twitter. And then that
Yeah.
makes uh, that brings the cash to the Tesla.
Whoa. My mind is blown.
Yeah.
Cool. I love that. I love that.
Right.
All right. Well, I think there's definitely something to that. I think someone who's actually a journalist should investigate this. Um, wow. So yeah, I think he's definitely up to his old pump and dump tricks with this Twitter
Yeah.
stuff. But I do have to wonder, and I remember Jack Dorsey talking a lot about this back when um he was being hauled before Congress on those Zoom calls with
Yeah.
Mark Zuckerberg and everything like that. And Jack Dorsey looked like he was, just got home from Burning Man or something like
Yeah.
that, right?
Yeah.
You could tell he's like totally. It seems like he's just totally disgusted by what he did in
Yeah.
creating Twitter, right?
Yeah.
And he wants nothing to do with it. Now all he does is talk about Bitcoin, which is awesome.
Yep.
Um, Obviously, well, correct me if I'm wrong. Jack Dorsey created Cash App. Is that true? One of those
Really?
payment platforms, right? Which
Square?
one is it? Oh, Square. That's right.
Yeah.
Square. Yes, thank you.
hmm
Um, Square owns Cash App. That makes sense.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So yeah, he's big on payments. And I remember him talking a lot about a crypto and blockchain version of Twitter at that time. Now, I haven't heard much about it since then, and I remember him saying that people at Twitter were working on it. I have in the past used sites like Steemit and other blockchain-based social media apps. But how come no one's come out with something like that yet? I mean, to me, it seems smart or obvious that we would have some sort of blockchain-based social media.
Right.
Why doesn't that exist yet?
Right.
Someone needs to create it.
Yeah, someone has
I
to
mean,
do
I
it,
guess
right?
Steam it exists, and the one thing that I've seen with these apps is that they quickly become obsessed with whatever the monetization of the platform consists of. People become obsessed with trying to exploit that, right?
Mm.
Um, so I remember with Steam it, there were all these platforms and apps you could use to like basically pump other people's posts on Steam it, and then they would pump your post, and it was kind of this big like circular bribe thing to try to extract as much value from Steam it as possible with your posts. Very very strange type of thing. But anyway, I would like to see something that's more focused on maybe the censorship resistance or whatever.
Right. Mm.
Um, but maybe that's just me. If someone knows of something like that, I'd love to hear more about it.
Mm.
But anyway, that's Elon Musk. We'll see what happens there. Um, but yeah, master of coin. That's my big takeaway. People need to look into this guy.
Yeah.
I'm sure people already have. Um, but I'm interested now. I want to learn more. Another thing I want to talk about. Well, this is kind of an NFT heavy episode, but the Grammys happened recently. Obviously, the big music awards show, and apparently there's a lot of talk of NFTs, but music NFTs, I think now, and it's been this way for a little while, they have a bad reputation in that no one is interested in buying them. And it's kind of like the um, redheaded stepchild, to use a terrible phrase. I think that's the right type of phrase for this. But it's like the forgotten child of NFTs is music NFTs.
Mm.
I've played around with music NFTs. personally. I've bought some. I own some. Just because I like the artist or I like the record label or whatever. And for me, I think it's quite cool. And actually, I've gotten like quite a bit of utility, exclusive downloads, um, exclusive mixes, exclusive events, online concerts, that type of thing. I've done all that stuff, and I've paid less than it would cost if these were like real life events and real life products. Just buying them. Um, so I've gotten a lot of value out of it, but there just doesn't seem to be much demand for music NFTs versus visual art. I don't know. Why do you think this is? I've been trying to figure it out myself, and I just don't have any kind of answer. What do you think, Kazuaki? I mean, you're a
Um,
big music fan. You've
yeah, yeah,
DJ'd
yeah.
in the past and things like that. So,
Mhm.
what's your take on music
Um,
NFTs?
I don't know, to be honest, because well, using the NFT for like membership is a great idea, but
Hmm.
a lot of people get confused. Music NFT is the music, the date, the music data itself. Does it
Yeah,
make sense? Like, if token holder has a download rights, and then what happened to the downloaded music? Can we redistribute it or stuff like that? And then if it happens, like, what's the how your NFT value goes up, or like, um, yeah,
true.
it. So a lot of people get confused, and I get confused as well.
Well, so you're saying that someone could right click save your music NFT
Yeah,
and listen to
yeah.
the music for free.
Hmm.
But that's true for visual art, that's true for
As
Bored
well,
Apes.
right?
You don't get anything other than that membership for
Um,
Bored Apes.
right.
Um so
It's
why doesn't that
true.
extend to music, right? If you could just right click save
Uh,
music.
yeah, that's true.
I mean, it's all on IPFS. None of it's actually on
Mm,
chain. It's all stored in some other decentralized layer. So some decentralized protocol. So it's not like the access is restricted. Although for the NFT projects that I have been involved in, there have been some pretty cool platforms where like I log in with my wallet. The wallet,
mm,
the site sees that I have the NFT and it lets me into the concert or whatever. Um, so that's been quite cool. And one other thing that I think is interesting in this story is that people like Gary V, love him or hate him, obviously he's big into NFTs, and even people that I see who are extremely critical of NFTs, like the Twitch streamer Asmongold. He's like a World of Warcraft streamer, but he's extremely anti NFTs. Um, they, for some reason, there's this talking point that everyone sees NFTs being an acceptable use case for concert tickets
mm,
because there's this concept of, and people have done this for decades. You go to a concert, you get this ticket, and they tear the ticket stub when you go into the event and they give it back to you. And then people like to collect those ticket stubs for these famous concerts, right?
right, right.
Like if you have a ticket stub for a Rolling Stones concert, that's worth a lot of money. Why
Mm,
is it worth a lot of money? I have no idea. It's just a piece of paper that
right.
it doesn't get you anything, but it's a piece of paper, right? It's some collectible
Yeah.
item for that band. And everyone for decades now has accepted that that is something that's very valuable. And so even people who are hypercritical of NFTs say, or you could take that paper ticket stub that's highly collectible and you could make that an NFT and that seems cool to people.
Mm,
Even people who hate NFTs, that still seems cool. Why is that?
hmm. Interesting.
There's something about the collectible nature of ticket
Yeah.
stubs that everybody seems to understand as cool. And
Right.
if you're a collector of it, or if you're not a collector of it, you could still see why people are interested in that. And so somehow that makes people understand something about NFTs as a collectible, you know?
Right.
I can right click save someone's ticket stub. Like if there's a famous concert, I could go online and I could Google what the ticket stub looks like and I could save that to my computer. Woohoo.
Mm.
No one's going to buy that image from me. Anyone can go get that for free. But the real ticket stub is still worth a lot of money.
Right.
And people understand that and people don't necessarily question that. So
Mm.
there's something there, I think, about music NFTs combining with like a POAP. POAP is
Right.
like kind of a ticket stub NFT type of thing, showing that you were at an event or you took part in some event.
Proof
Um,
of attendance.
yes, proof of attendance protocol. Thank you.
Yeah.
Um, so I don't know. There's something here. People are getting very close. I think there could be a breakthrough with music NFTs just because there is this widespread understanding of ticket stub collecting. As
Mm.
strange as that sounds, and as small of a niche as that is, it has wide cultural acceptance. And so I think that's really important. And people do that here in Japan too, right? People collect tickets for events and things like that.
Oh yeah, a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been buying tickets from the 1970 World's Fair that happened in Osaka.
Hmm.
I have a bunch of them that I've collected. Which, by the way, the next World's Fair is in Osaka in 2025, and I'm
Yeah.
really excited to go.
Mm.
But anyway, I there's an event here called Design Festa that I go to. I try to go to every year, and there's always a vendor there who is selling memorabilia from the 1970 World's Fair, and I always go and pick up for. They're not expensive. It's like $10 to $20, different ticket stubs and things from the attractions at the World's Fair. I don't know why I do it. I just think it seems cool. So yeah, and I can't really flex on people. I mean, I'm trying to flex on people right now with this podcast, talking about how much cool crap I've collected from the World's Fair. I don't know if it's working, but other than that, I don't really have an opportunity to like show people this or talk about it, but I still do it. So um, that collectibleness, there's something
Mm.
people understand about collecting dumb crap,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's
like
true.
ticket stubs or coins or stamps or maybe even NFTs in your Line app.
Mm.
Is that a good segue into the next topic?
Yeah. Yeah, you made a very smooth transition here.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm getting good at this. So do you want to tell people a little bit what is Line if people are not familiar with it and why is it so important here in Japan?
Line is the messaging app,
Yeah.
really big in Japan. But
Yeah.
interestingly, originally from South Korea,
Hmm.
and I'm not sure why, but it's really big in Japan and Taiwan and Thailand at the same time.
Interesting.
And people in South Korea don't even use Line anymore. They use
Yeah.
different message app called Kakao Talk. But
Okay.
yeah, anyway, and then since Line has a lot of devs and marketing and biz devs here in Japan, and then they have like huge research teams, and then they started, I think, like 20 later 2019 or something. They started their own blockchain called Line blockchain platform.
Hmm.
And then first people don't really care about them, and then now Square Enix started doing their own NFT on the Line platform, a Line blockchain, and the Cointelegraph said Yoshimoto Kogyo, it's a huge comedian. They
Hmm.
joined, they start doing the NFT on the line NFT blockchain.
Yeah.
So it's getting bigger and bigger,
Yeah.
and then I'm not really sure why it's getting bigger, but yeah, a lot of company here in Japan try to do their NFT project using Line.
Mm. And so Line, if you've never used it before, I think you could think of it as a combination of instant messaging like WhatsApp or Facebook Messenger, but it's also a payments platform. So a lot of people use it to pay for things, right?
Yep.
And then also like every business and every celebrity in Japan basically has some sort of Line account that you can either like utilize their services or you can get updates about the celebrity or whoever by adding them as a Line friend. Um,
Yeah.
and there's all kinds of chatbots like, so here's a crazy example, and Kazuaki, you won't think this is crazy, but people in America will think this is crazy. There's a Line app for a delivery service here
Yeah.
that does a lot of the deliveries,
Hmm.
Amazon or whoever. And so if you're expecting a package, you can add this Line friend for this delivery company,
Oh yeah.
and they'll update you. Oh, your package is coming. We're about to deliver it to your house. And if you're not at home, you can message them on the Line friend and say, "Oh, don't deliver it. Deliver it in 3 hours or whatever," and then they'll come back later and all this stuff. Right? You can like basically talk to the delivery company through the app, which is quite cool.
Right.
It's like they have their own little app within Line that you can use. And so there's
Mm.
tons of these. There's tons of these for everything. Um, and so one of the ways that Line has monetized in the past is through stickers, right? You would buy
Right.
these sticker packs that you could use when you're talking to your friends, and you could post these cute stickers of Hello Kitty or whatever,
Hmm.
right?
Yep.
But you had to pay for them. And
Hmm.
people would collect those, right?
Yeah.
Um, but you couldn't sell them to someone else or anything like that, right?
Mm.
Um, like if I bought the Hello Kitty sticker pack, I couldn't sell it to someone else after I'm done using it. I think the NFT thing kind of is an extension of that almost, where
Right.
where they can monetize these types of digital content in a more modern way that has more upside, I think, because the sticker packs would cost like $1 or $5, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
Um, Obviously NFTs can cost a lot more than $5. So
Yeah.
so I think that is quite attractive for them as well.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, and also like I have a friend who worked at Line before, and then he said uh, other another big monetization business for Line is also the Line manga. They own the
yes,
manga platform selling
yes,
it's kind of like an Amazon Kindle.
yeah.
Yeah.
So you could read comics through the Line app,
Hmm.
which I see people doing on the train all the time,
Yeah.
reading comics on their phone. And I saw that in this NFT marketplace, it wasn't only just little cartoons or images, but there were movies and things like that that they were selling as NFTs,
Hmm.
which is quite interesting. Little short movies or whatever that you could watch on your phone. Um, so all that sounds really cool, but you said there's a core problem here, which is that people don't. I don't know if it's a lack of understanding or if it's a lack of transparency from the company, but people don't necessarily trust the Line blockchain to be a real blockchain. Is that true?
Right. Yeah. It's I think it's both. Like the people who are using a Line blockchain doesn't care about the the transparency of blockchain,
Yeah.
and also Line doesn't open their platform to the end users.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it sounds like basically what Apple would build as a blockchain.
Mm, yeah.
Something that is a blockchain in name only, but is not maybe that open and can't be used outside of their platform. Um, but I mean, it's a step forward, right? I mean,
Mhm.
and I will say, like, people in Japan seem to be pretty into the idea of NFTs. I see more and more people talking about NFTs. I see more and more mainstream news articles about it, and I think it really appeals to that instinct of people who like collecting things
Mm,
to have a digital product like this.
right.
And maybe that's something that people don't really understand about NFTs is that there is something about the digital scarcity that appeals to some types of people. And if
That's
you don't like
true.
NFTs, it just doesn't appeal to you, but you probably don't collect baseball cards or Pokemon or retro video games or I don't know what else do people collect. Uh Dolly Parton commemorative plates. By the way, Dolly Parton also releasing an NFT line. So
Oh,
so
wow.
so if you're not interested in that kind of stuff, I mean, maybe it's just not for you and you don't get
Right,
it. But
right.
but the otaku out there who like to collect, this is kind of this is quite cool, I think, right?
Mm,
NFTs in
yeah.
general is like very appealing. So um I don't know. You just have to have that mindset, that collector mindset. And I
Mm,
think a lot of people in Japan have it, especially those who are more otaku.
yeah. Yeah.
Um, but if you're more of a what was that lady who was telling everyone to throw all their stuff in the garbage? Mari
Uh,
Kondo, something like
Mondo.
that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. If you're more that type of person, this NFTs probably don't spark joy. So maybe skip
Yeah.
it and
Yeah.
just focus.
Well,
Skip
like,
NFTs and what's that?
well, I was gonna say like a really stupid thing. Like, if you throw away, you get the NFT.
Oh, there you go. Oh,
Yeah, as a
yeah.
reward token.
Okay.
Yeah.
So throw
Well,
away your
yeah,
old shirt,
and then you get
but
the
take a
NFT.
picture of your old shirt and put it on the blockchain and own it as an NFT.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then it can spark
It's
joy for
really
you forever. I like it.
yeah.
I like it. Um,
Yeah.
but, but anyway, if you're not interested in NFTs, we're done. We're done talking about NFTs for today. What you should
Yeah.
be interested in is DeFi, right?
Mhm. Yep.
You want to stay 100% liquid. You don't want to deal with any kind of weird monkey art. So, so just focus on DeFi. And I wanted to talk real quick about two projects that I had seen. One is Granary Finance on FTM, um, which I had been hearing a lot about, but it is basically just a fork of Aave. They say they've made some improvements to the gas utilization. It's Aave V2. Already Aave V3 is available on Phantom. So you have to ask yourself why you would want to use this. But I just did want to mention it because I had heard that they are doing snapshots for an upcoming airdrop. So if you're interested in that type of thing, you may want to check out Granary Finance. I should probably say more often that this show is not financial advice, but it's just us sharing our thoughts. But anyway, so Granary Finance, you can check it out. And also, there's another lending platform on Phantom coming soon to other platforms called Sturdy Finance. Sturdy Finance is a kind of a new paradigm. It's not a fork of anything as far as I know, in terms of the protocol itself, but it is a platform that lets you deposit volatile assets like Phantom or Beats or ETH or whatever and borrow stable coins against it. And then there's no fee for borrowing whatsoever. and you can also stake your stable coins. And so the APYs for staking stable coins on Sturdy are quite high. So I just wanted to mention that. And also, they do not have a token. I don't know if they'll be doing an airdrop. I think they might be doing a POAP or NFT for people who utilize the platform. So maybe check out their Discord for all of the rumors about that. But currently offering 15% APY on stablecoins, which is quite good. So you can check them out as well. Kazawaki, do you use lending platforms like this at all for your DeFi
Well,
setups?
I never borrow token using a lending platform, but the one thing I want to ask about Sturdy Finance is how does it work 0% APY? I mean 0% borrow APY?
Yeah.
Yeah. How
How
does
does
it
that work?
work? How does it work?
So, so with all of these DeFi platforms, no one's going to lend you something without you depositing something of your own first, right? You need to collateralize your own loans.
Mm,
Unlike the traditional banking world where you could potentially just get a loan for a house or something without having to put up any collateral, right? Because it's backed
true.
by the government and it's backed by this concept of everyone's using the bank, and it's in the public interest for the Federal Reserve to be making all this credit available, right? None of that
Hmm.
exists in DeFi, right? There is no Federal Reserve.
Right.
So so you need to put up collateral before you can borrow something.
Mm,
And so if I put up $1 million worth of collateral, I mean, why wouldn't a site then let me borrow $750,000 back? They already have my $1 million, right?
mm,
So they don't necessarily need to charge me a fee on top of that. But traditionally, sites like Aave and platforms like that have had this kind of two-sided market of lenders and borrowers, right? And so for a given asset, there's some delta in terms of the interest rate that they're charging. So maybe they'll give you a 7% APY on DAI, but to borrow DAI costs a 10% APY. And so that delta of 3% is how the platform makes money, right?
mm.
Traditionally, with things like Aave or whatever,
Yeah.
it costs more to borrow than it would to collateralize. Um, or how much you would earn from a deposit, basically, in terms of
Mm,
interest. Sturdy. So if you go to Granary, for example, which is an Aave fork, I can just go there right now. I can look at the markets and I can see the deposit APY for USDT is 8% and the borrow APY is 12%. So there's a or 11.5%. So there's a 3.5% difference. That's how that site makes money, right? Obviously, no.
mm.
Obviously, all these sites have to make money somehow. Otherwise,
Yeah.
they don't exist, right? So,
Hmm.
so that's how Aave and Aave type things work. Sturdy has no APY to borrow. If I go to sturdy.finance, the APY is 0% on everything. Well, they only allow you to borrow three things, which is Tether, DAI, and USDC.
Yep.
However, if I go to the deposit page and I want to deposit Phantom, Spell, Boo, Link, F Beats Curve, there's 0% interest on deposits. So unlike Aave and unlike all these other sites, there's 0% interest when I deposit something. However, if I lend them, let's say Phantom, right? They'll let me
Hmm.
take 80% of the US dollar value that I lent them on Phantom out as stable coins, and then I can redeposit those same stable coins into the site and get a 15% APY on them, which is quite high.
Yeah.
So basically what they're doing is they're going to take your deposits, they're going to farm, they're going to yield farm with them. And that's how they're making their money. And then they
Mm.
use some of that proceeds from yield farming in order to pay off these stable coin interest APY of 15%. So anyway,
Okay.
Sturdy is backed by some very reputable people, Pantera Capital, SoftBank, Y Combinator. So I highly recommend checking them out, if only because it is a new idea in DeFi. I think I haven't seen anything like this before. So, and they have high APYs on stables. So, I mean, you don't even need to. I mean, it's a bear market right now, so it's kind of rough to deposit a huge amount of Phantom or something and hope that works out. Obviously, as the value of your assets you're using as collateral goes down, you risk liquidation, and Sturdy still has that kind of liquidation and all that stuff. But they have a high APY on stablecoin, so you can check that out for sure. But I did want to talk about like why you would want to use these things. And you said you haven't really used them, and I think I've talked about this on the show before. But a good reason to use them is to short assets.
Yeah.
So you could deposit, say, if you want to short BTC, you could deposit a stable coin, use that to borrow BTC, take that BTC you borrowed, go to another site, sell it for stable coins, and now you're short BTC, right? So if the value of
Oh.
BTC goes down, you can rebuy the BTC at a lower price, pay off the loan, and then whatever that delta was, that short profit, you get to earn, right? And you're not dealing with Binance margin trading or whoever allows you to do shorts. And if you're a US citizen, I don't even think there are centralized exchanges that allow you to short. So using DeFi, you can have a short position on whatever. Not financial advice, just explaining my understanding of the concept.
Does the people use that strategy, shorting a Bitcoin or Ethereum?
Oh, absolutely. People do that. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Didn't know that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
And here I can share another strategy that I have been thinking about and I've actually been utilizing. And for people who are familiar with DeFi, this stuff is probably obvious to them. So apologies, but if you're kind of more of a newbie to DeFi, Kazuaki and I are more technical people, right? We're more software developers.
Yeah.
And we've worked on these platforms and protocols and stuff, but from an economic standpoint, we're less sophisticated. At least I am. I don't know. Kazuaki, I think, is a little bit more so than I am because I remember he's big on Uniswap back in the day. So, but anyway, another thing you can do is, and this is something I've done, not financial advice, but just explaining. I deposited on Granary a large amount. Well, I don't know if it's a large amount, a bunch of stable coins, and I used that to borrow Phantom. Why would I do that? Well,
Why?
I can my deposits on stablecoins are about 8% APY. If I borrow Phantom, I own 6% interest. So right there, I already get a delta of 2% yield, right? There's liquidation risk. If the value of Phantom goes up, there's a potential I could be liquidated. But right now, my health factor is very, very safe. I think Phantom would have to go up to like $2 to liquidate me. But then what I can do is I can take that Phantom, I can go over to Beethoven or some other site, and I can deposit that Phantom along with more stable coins in the Phantom USDC pair on Beethoven, and I can earn, what is it at? 23% APR. So right now, the best thing I can find for USDC stablecoin is 15%, but I can get closer to 25% or higher. Today's down day in the market, so the APRs tend to go lower. I can get a higher APR by borrowing Phantom and yield farming with the Phantom instead of just yield farming directly with the stable coins. But I'm not long or short on Phantom, right? I still owe the same amount of Phantom that I just deposited onto Beethoven. Now there is impermanent loss and things, so over time the amount of Phantom that I own will shift a little bit, and I'll have to make that up when I go pay back the loan. But I'm more effectively yield farming without necessarily taking on additional price risk of having a more volatile asset than a stable coin in terms of owning Phantom or whatever directly. And so I think there's a lot of value there where you can be exposed and take advantage of the better yield farming opportunities for volatile assets while still basically retaining a purely stable coin position, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. It's a very, very complex strategy,
Is
compared
it? I don't know if it
to.
is. I think maybe it's obvious. I don't know. I honestly don't know, but I feel good about it. Obviously, the risk there is the liquidation risk.
Right.
What I'd really love to do, but I haven't found a site that'll let me do it, is I would love to borrow beats or F beats. Because I sold all my beats,
Okay.
unfortunately. With the little bit of a pump there was the last couple of days, I decided to get
Right.
out.
Yeah.
And but I love the platform. I think Beethoven is a cool platform, and so I'd love to have the bribes and all the things like that without actually having to own beats. And one way to do that would be to borrow beats, but I haven't found a
Or.
site that will let me borrow beats yet.
Okay.
So I don't know. Yeah, I would say borrowing volatile assets against your stablecoin deposits with a very healthy liquidation ratio is a way that you can gain some additional exposure rather than just farming your stablecoins directly. So there's my DeFi tip for today.
Very interesting.
Yeah, I think so. I'll play with it more. If any of the listeners out there know of good sites to use for this type of strategy, yeah, let us know.
Yeah,
Let us know.
we like to know that.
And then don't get wrecked. And that was not financial advice.
Right.
Kazuaki, I just saw you put something in the show notes here about a new platform. What is this?
Well, like we talk about like Web3 social media, and then
Yeah.
I found this tweet, I think earlier this week, and then there's a new platform called, I think,
Yeah, Click.
Click, yeah.
Yeah. In
And
English, click
then
is like a group of friends,
right,
basically, is
yeah.
what that means. Yeah.
So yeah, well there will be no, there are not many followers at this point, but I don't know,
Hmm.
like some people talks about this, and then we like to see more coming out from them.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna look into this more as well. Tying back into what we were talking about with Twitter earlier.
Hmm.
This is a new project called Click. Their Twitter is Click2046. They're posting Garfield memes, so that's a good sign.
Right.
And they have a Pepe saying good morning on their feed. So take, if you like that, then go check them out. If you don't like that, then don't check them out.
But like
They don't have a website or anything yet, right?
yeah, but if you go to the Twitter account, and then there is a tweet saying the Web3 social space is filled with uh, financialized behavior while lacking incentive for actual social engagement. And then
Well,
I
that's
think
exactly
that's
what I was
true.
talking about.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think that's true.
that is true. That was the
Yeah,
problem with Steam and all those
yeah.
sites. So
Hmm.
interesting. Cool. Well, I'm sure they'll
Yeah,
be happy that we're talking about them
yeah.
since they only have 500 followers right now. So
Yeah.
um, cool. And not a sponsored thing or anything. This is just something that you just found. So
Yeah. Yeah.
very cool. All right. Well, I think this is our longest episode yet. I'm
All
excited.
right. See you in a minute. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to chat about this week, or should we wrap it up? I mean, we're at an hour. I'm feeling good about that.
Yeah. I think we're good.
All right. Well, once again, thanks everyone for listening to another episode about something about Web3. We'll be back next week with another episode, and I'll talk about Mark Zuckerberg's NFT nudes or something. I don't know. I don't know what will happen in the next week, but whatever
Yeah.
happens, we'll be talking about it here on the Something About Web3 podcast. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye bye.